And so, Nicci, would you come? And I'm looking forward to this great presentation. Again, in the next 2 months, we have a great opportunity to hear what God is doing in places outside of.
Thank you, Pastor Paul. Thank you for your warm welcome and for having me. I was talking with Pastor Paul and Patrick in the back before we got started, and I was like, I'm so nervous. These aren't my people. But you could very easily be my people. It feels very familiar. You are, I'm originally from, I'm back at Westchester, grew up there. And so it feels very familiar here. So thank you for having me and for welcoming me. Thank you for pointing out that I'm not, well, that was pretty. Joyce, your song was beautiful. For pointing out I'm not a missionary. I'm not, and so some of you have been calling me that because it would make sense. And I was like, oh, no, I'm not a missionary. I would pray when I was little, Lord, please don't send me to Africa. Because I never wanted to do that. I never wanted to public speak. Like, he's asked me to do a whole lot of things in the last couple of years. So I'm just going to tell you a little bit about what I'm doing, what I've been called to do, and my testimony through that, because what I'm finding and what I get most excited about, it was when the Lord invites you into something, it's usually more about you than what you're going to pour out. And I am just amazed about how much I get out of it and connect to the Lord even deeper when I think I'm working for him. So I'm just going to kind of spell that out a little bit, and we'll see where the Lord takes us today. So, as you can see, I have Rwanda up here. Rwanda is a small country in Africa. I'm just going to tell you a little bit about them, and then I'll tell you a little bit about me. They are the land of 1,000 hills, which if you ever visit, you will know why it's called that. It is hills everywhere. They are also known as the cleanest country in Africa. They went through, sadly, a genocide in the 90s. Some of you may have heard about that. It was pretty big news. One tribe, the Hutu tribe, wanted to annihilate the Tutsi tribe. And the way that they decided if you lived or died was by the size of your nose and how tall you were. So they literally wiped out thousands and thousands and thousands of people in a matter of 100 days. And through that, their president was elected and started rebuilding the country after it. He's a very strong Christian man, and has been he's been in presidency since, I think, 1995, and they keep re-electing him because he is making it a safer place for them, as well as a clean place for them. When I visit, they'll get so excited when they're telling me about it, because they'll say, we can go outside at night and not get hurt. And so that is very different to the other countries in Africa. I visited 3 different countries when I visited the first time. And in one country, Emmanuel, you'll meet him in the slides in a little bit, held my hand all through the country because he wanted people to know I was with someone so that I wasn't abducted, or who knows what would have happened to me. And then in the other country, it was I was only out with him and you didn't go out at night because it was dangerous. In Rwanda, it doesn't feel that way. And so this president is really trying to build it. They are now known as a Christian country, but they are still third world. They're still living in poverty as much as they're trying to rebuild. So that's a little bit about Rwanda. If you want to go to the next slide. A little bit about me. I was born and raised in Jay County. A lot of you probably know my dad, and a lot of you are probably related to me because that's what I hear all the time. My dad, we were just in Walmart, and we saw somebody in Walmart. It was Bennett's grandma. Hi, Bennett. He's my buddy. And Dad was telling me who she was. He goes, I think you're related to her. And I was like, oh my gosh, Dad, I'm related to all of Jay County. So his name is Marvin Starr. He's been around his whole life, so you probably know him. Westchester is my home church. As I mentioned, I grew up there, and now I attend again. I did leave. You can hit it. I moved away after getting my teaching degree. I am an elementary school teacher by trade, and lived in Indianapolis for 20 years. The Lord had me planted there, brought me back just soon after I lost my mom. So it's very touching that you're having me this time of year. Came home after 20 years and been home for 2 or 3 years, and the Lord dropped another call in my heart. And so I'm going to tell you a little bit about that. You can go to the next slide. And from that call, Hesed Global was born. That is my nonprofit. And Hesed is a Hebraic word that it stands for God's loving kindness. And so it's based on the verse, though the mountains be shaken and the hills be removed, yet my unfailing love will not be shaken, nor my covenant of peace be removed, says the Lord who has compassion on you. Isaiah 54:10. And it really embodies how the Lord has unfolded what he has invited me into. So you would think that he just drops an idea in your heart and then you have a straight path and that's where you land. Not at all. It has not been that way at all. I am not teaching any longer. I'm actually a behavior consultant. So I drive around and I help, and I work with kids with special needs. I say kids, but it's also adults. So I work with all ages of special needs. And so because of that, I drive around a lot. And so I was driving home one day. I was over by Red Key, and the Lord said, I want you to start an adoption agency. I've never been married. I don't have my own kids, but adoption has always been on my heart. And I was like, that would be so fun to start an adoption agency. And I thought it was a little bit crazy. So I ran it by a lot of my trusted friends that also hear from the Lord, and they're like, you would be perfect at that. So I was like, okay, but I have no idea how to start, and I feel like I need to bridge Africa with America because Africa has an abundance of children, and in America, we don't have as many, especially to adopt. And we also have lots of women that would love to be mothers and struggle to obtain that gift. And so I was like, okay, Lord, it feels like I have to go in this direction. I have no idea how. This was in February of 2024. In May of 2025, a mutual friend brought into acquaintance Emmanuel Musinga. Again, I'll tell you a little bit more about him. But that was the original call. And so I include this quote when I talk to Westchester too, because I thought, well, it's just an adoption agency. I have no idea how to start it, but I always felt like it was just a small thing. And so this quote came to me after my first visit to Africa, and it says, imagine yourself as a living house. God comes in to rebuild that house. And at first, perhaps, you can understand what he is doing. He is getting the drains right, and he's stopping the leaks in the roof, and so on. You know that those jobs needed to be doing, and so you're not surprised. But presently, he starts knocking the house about in a way that hurts abominably and does not seem to make any sense. And you ask, what on earth is he up to? The explanation is that he's building quite a different house from the one you thought of. Throwing up a new wing here, putting on an extra floor there, running up towers, making courtyards. You thought you were being made into a decent little cottage, but he is building a palace, and he intends to come and live in it himself. That quote is by C.S. Lewis. And I'm like, okay, Lord, whatever you want to do, I surrender. And so, you think you get a call, it goes straight. If you've been serving the Lord for very long, you know that he never goes straight. He goes up and down and backwards and around several times. And so sometimes it feels like being beat abominably because he has to knock off the edges. And so I met Emmanuel, and I told him of my vision, and he said, we're going to Africa in August. This is of 2024. You're coming with us. I was like, okay. Okay, Lord, you're moving fast. And So we took that trip. Like I said, I visited 3 different countries. It was purely for discovery to see what the Lord was doing. And when I came back, I had a heart for Rwanda. I clearly knew that the other 2 countries was not where I was to start. But Emmanuel said, you will probably start in Rwanda because it's a safe country. Their government is safe. They're not taking advantage of you. They're not seeing an American coming and think you're a millionaire and take all your money. That's a lot of what the countries in Africa would do. And so, but I couldn't go into the country and say, hello, my name is Nicci Starr. I want to take all of your children. And so Emmanuel, because he knows the American culture and he knows the African culture, he was actually, I'm getting a little off of the slides, so I apologize. We'll get back to them. But he was a refugee actually from the Congo to Rwanda. And then when the genocide broke out, he was a refugee from Rwanda to Kenya. And then he was a refugee from Kenya to America. And so he's been in America for 13 years. He has his American citizenship, and he absolutely adores the country, but has a huge heart for his home countries. And so he is a huge blessing, a lot of fun. And because he knows both cultures, I feel completely safe in what I'm doing, that the money is being used the way that I've prescribed it to be used, and that he is able to point out needs. And so he said, we can't just go to Rwanda and say we want to take all your children. And I said, absolutely not. I don't want them to feel like that. I want them to feel like this is a partnership. He goes, okay, well, what we're going to start with is we're going to start small and let them trust me, or Emmanuel and me, as a person that is there to help. And so that's why that quote comes to mind, because I just wanted an adoption agency. I didn't want to start very small. And the Lord said, no, just start the way Emmanuel is saying. And so as I was preparing for you to come and speak today, the Lord pointed out the verse, the word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path. And I got to thinking about that verse, and I was like, the Lord said, he's talking to me about it, and he says, do you understand that this psalm was written before my Bible was written? And I was contemplating that, and he said, the word wasn't written when he wrote this, and we're taught the word is his Bible. And what he was saying to me was, it's the word I put in your heart. So just keep following me, and I'm going to give you step by step what you need to do. And so it's a very familiar verse for all of us, I'm sure, but it was just another deeper layer that the Lord, I wanted to share with you, that I'm even learning through this last week. And so we can go to the next slide. So to hop back to a little bit of our team, Emmanuel is here in the middle, if you can see him. And then there I am. And I'll introduce the rest of the people as we go to. The tall one in the back, his name is Jean-Paul. And then we have the other guy on the right, which is Pastor David. And then some of you may know Terry Finnig. She's there in the middle. She went with me my last trip. And these people, when I made my first visit, were my team on the ground before I even got there. And so, because I didn't know where to start, when I landed and got off the plane, these people were there to greet me, minus Terry, because she wasn't there the first trip. But these were my Rwandans that were so taken with my vision that they wanted to help. So this is our team. Just a few more pictures. We do have fun together. I grew up thinking all Africans were very stoic, but these guys laugh all the time, so they're a lot of fun. So when we got started, just to backtrack a little bit, I took my first visit in 2025, right? No, 2024, sorry. It was 2024, just as an exploratory. I thought that I would return in a year. It ended up being a year and a half. before my next trip, which was January of 2026. And when I give you that quote and I tell you that the word is a light into my path, if you think about this, what this felt like to me was being in a very dark room and not knowing my way around, and all I had was a little light that only shows what's right in front of you. And the Lord was saying, I'm only going to show you the next step. So when I thought I was going to go back a year, I didn't. It was a year and a half. And actually, it kind of all died in my heart a little bit. My dad went through a major medical experience. In that time, I was learning counseling. So I took a class called Healing Care, which you'll hear a little bit more about. And then I took my second trip this past January. But I will tell you, I didn't know I was going in January of 2026 until I was speaking to Westchester to give them an update in December of 2025, and the Lord said, yes, you're going in January, while I was speaking in real time. So, and in that afternoon, my little Westchester church raised all the funds I needed, and funds I didn't know I needed. That is how much the Lord went before me. So he had my team on the ground in 2024. He had my team here ready to send me in 2026, and all I did was show up and say, yes, Lord, I'll go. I did not have to. It was barely even planned. We just kind of flew by the seat of our pants a little bit. But in that year between my first visit and my second visit, we were able to support 32 families with food and school supplies for a full year. And that was just what the Lord provided through Westchester. And so you can, then this picture, this is in January when I visited, I was able to deliver some of their food, which they were so excited to meet me because we had been supporting them. So you can go to the next slide. This is my reception. In Africa, they do things big. They love to make sure that you know you're loved and that you are appreciated. So in the middle picture, you see the kids and the moms there. They had a big show of dancing and singing and welcoming me, and it was a big to-do. In the picture on the right, you can see where they had locked up the food, because while Rwanda is still safe, it's not completely there yet. So they would have had to lock it up to make sure it wasn't stolen, because they're all very hungry, especially in the villages. Not so much in Kigali, which is their capital, but in the villages, they're still very, very hungry. So the Lord had me feed these 32 families for 1 year, and then he said, okay, now you're done with that. I went on my second trip in January. I'll get to this in a minute. So I went to my second trip in January, and in between, I told you that the Lord put my team on the ground. I had met Dina. She was in that last picture. I didn't point her out, but I'll have a better picture of her. She approached me in Rwanda because I was at an event that Emmanuel just mentioned in 3 seconds what I was doing, and her heart lit up. And she came and found me. She doesn't know Emmanuel. We had nothing in common other than she was at this event. And she said, my heart lit up, and I want to help you. And through that, she and I started a relationship just through the phone, because we'd been talking for a year. I'd only met her once in person. And she's a beautiful soul. So while I'm going through getting a healing care certificate, she started a ministry for young mothers, she and her husband. And so as we're talking about this, she has a heart for the mothers that are living in poverty. And they serve 50 young mothers. They're 18 to 20 years old. Sometimes they're 16. And in Africa, Rwanda, if you get pregnant out of wedlock, by choice or not by choice, you are cast out from your family, your church, and your community. Living in poverty, women don't get employed very easily, and especially if they say, if I have a baby on my back, I cannot be employed. And so these young mothers are living with a baby with no food or clothes and barely a place to live. So we'll talk more about that. But Dina and Brian started a ministry. I had started a relationship with Dina to serve these women, and the Lord said, after the 32 families, I want you to help support Dina's ministry with the young mothers and babies. So in my trip in January, that was the focus. I was going to take my healing care certificate, which is just positioning people in front of Jesus so that he can heal their wounds. So all I do is I pray with them, for them, listen to them, position them in front of Jesus to say, will you, to heal me, because I can't, you and I can't heal anyone. Jesus is our healer. And I thought, these mothers are orphans. These mothers need inner healing as much as they need food because they have been completely cast out. And so I talked with Dina, and she said, yes, please come. Now, every trip I take, well, both trips I've taken, I told you, I get way more out of it than I think they get out of it. May or may not be true, but it's how it feels. The Lord posed this question to me, and it was so funny because when you go, if you would ever go to an African country, you take a stack full of bills this big because the American currency is worth a lot more than their currency. So I took the money I needed to finish feeding the 32 and just have money in case you needed it. And I think it was that thick. When I went through and transferred it to their money, I think it was this thick. I'm not kidding. It wouldn't all fit in my purse. I had to have a bag to carry it around because it's so much. And I didn't know how to count their currency. Well, I have a whole team on the ground with me. And so, sorry, I lost my thought. And so in my purse, it's like this big, huge amount of money, right? And I don't know how to count it, but I have to start paying for what I agreed to pay for. And so Pastor David, Jean-Paul, you met them, or Emmanuel, or Dina, I would just open my purse and say, can you please take what you need? And I went back to my room after the first time of doing that, and I was like, Lord, one thing to know about Africa is when they know that you have some money, they will ask and ask and ask and ask. And so I was like, Lord, they keep asking me for money. I don't know if I have enough. And his question to me was, will you open your purse? And it hit me. It's like, yeah, I'm just going to open my purse and let them take what they think they need and trust that the Lord covers every dollar of what they need, because I knew they weren't taking advantage of me. So it's been a thing in my life. I was raised in Jay County by a former farmer that pinched every penny. And so I have struggled with trusting my finances to the Lord. And so he poses this question to me to say, will you just open your purse to me? Will you trust me to pull out what I need to pull out for what I've asked you to do? And I am not kidding you. Every dollar of that trip, planned and not planned, was covered. I think I maybe spent $200 of my own money for everything. So it was a beautiful lesson for me because I've come back and I've started to just say, Lord, it's your money, not mine. So tell me how you want me to spend it. So back to Africa. Sorry, I'm jumping around. I hope you can follow me. This is Brian and Dina that I talked about, that they started what they call Impact Life Ministry. And this is where my focus is now for Africa, is supporting the young mothers with children that are living in poverty. So you can go ahead and go. They're perfectly lovely people. They do not fit the African mold, even though they're born and raised Rwandan. They love the Lord with all of their heart and have a testimony that is absolutely crazy how the Lord has come through for them. And so Dina was an instant sister. Brian was an instant brother. It's just the way the Lord connects. So it was beautiful. I'm not sure. Is this the video? So what we're going to do is I'm going to, while I was there working with the young mothers, and of course I need to mention Terry Finnig went with me too, which was another God thing, sending a friend with me, because it was just going to be me with, just me, actually. So Emmanuel was traveling with me, but he had his own things that he's doing. And so they made a video for us and the girls that we supported. So we're just going to watch that, and then I'll explain some more about it. There is one where the girls are talking, and the print is really small, so I'll probably read over the girls talking so you know what they're saying. We traveled from America to Rwanda, Africa, and we're in a town called Nyamata, and we met with 6 girls to take them through the healing care class. I was certified in this in America that focuses on doing deep inner healing for wounds and lies that we believe that stand in our way of a deeper relationship with Jesus. This week we met with 6 beautiful young mothers that are living in extreme poverty and have lived the life that no adult should have to live. They should not have to raise their children in these circumstances. It has been 3 days without any food at home. I live a very difficult life. I have no family. You can imagine how difficult eating can be. We only eat when we get part-time jobs. We're able to bring a little hope and a lot of Jesus to them. I was eating as I desired, but they brought food for me and my dependents. I wasn't eating as I desired. We shall be eating as many times as we want. The food shall take us for some good time, and I appreciate you so much. We've had them encourage others to go through the class, which we equipped Dina and Brian, who run a ministry here at Impact Life in Nyamata, and they work with 50 young mothers in the same situation. So we feel like it's been a super successful week, and we are very honored to have been able to be in relationship with them. We look forward to returning and seeing what else God would like to unfold. Thank you. None of that was scripted. So that was all real time. And the second girl in the video thanking us for food is because when they were video recording, we dropped off a month's worth of food to each of the girls that we worked with. And so their testimonies were real time as well. I may tear up at this, but them singing Jesus Loves Me at the beginning, we taught them to sing that. And there is a God story behind that. This is where I'll tear up. When I told you that the Lord said, I will give you the light in front of your feet, and that's it. He did that while I was there. And I would not know what to say to these girls each day because their stories took me by such surprise of what they've been through. And I was like, Lord, I don't know. I don't even know where to start. These girls have been hurt so badly. And he would say, it's okay, I'm just going to tell you each day what I want you to tell them. And so he wouldn't tell me until the middle of the night or the very next morning before I went to see them. And it was Monday into Tuesday, he woke me up and he told me what he wanted me to say, and then he goes, I want you to teach them Jesus loves me. I don't sing. Public speaking is my stretch, so I'm not going to sing in front of people. And I had forgotten that he asked me to do that. So we went on Tuesday, we're meeting with the girls, and out of the blue, one of the girls, second testimony girl, says, will you sing to us? I am not kidding. She didn't know what the Lord had told me. And so I was like, oh my goodness, the Lord asked me to teach you this song. And so we taught them Jesus Loves Me in English. And they were so thrilled. They were like, oh my gosh, we're going to sing. I told them it was a lullaby that moms in America will sing. And they go, we're going to sing this to our babies all the time. And so we taught it to them in their own language so you could hear it. That's what you heard at the end. And then they wanted to learn it in English. So that's what we opened up with. And so it's just this beautiful story because we walked in, and these girls are so beaten and broken that their immediate thought is, Jesus is mad at me because I messed up and I got pregnant out of wedlock. And they thought their babies were a curse because the Lord was mad at them. And there was nobody in their life to teach them differently because their parents didn't want anything to do with them. if they had a parent. And so we went from Monday, them crying because they thought God was mad at them, to Saturday dancing because they knew he loved them. And they knew their babies were a gift. And they would say that. We thought they were cursed, and now they're a gift. And so not once did they complain to me that they were in poverty. They just told their stories. But they were crying out, Jesus, help us. And it's so different from America, because in America, we turn to them. We blame God because we're mad we didn't get what we want. And their attitude was, he's mad at me because I messed up. So I'm going to introduce you to each of the girls because they have my heart. We were only able to work with 6 of them because the program I was going through, my healing care, you want it to be small and intimate because a lot of times they are telling you what Jesus is telling them. And there were several times, the first time we led them to meet with Jesus, they saw him in their imagination and talked to him for 45 minutes. And we would check in and say, are you still with Jesus? And they go, yeah, he's listening to me and this feels so good. He hears me. He wants to be with me. And so our first one is Denise. She, I believe, is 20. And her baby's on her back. He's 2. And she also takes care of her little sister because they lost her mom right before the baby was born. This is Elise. Elise has a story. I'll be careful about how much I share because they were very afraid to open up to us. But her mom was killed in front of her, just from a violent act. And she had a baby, probably from pure survival. A lot of them, there's kids in the room, so I'll filter what I'm saying, but a lot of them would go into what creates babies for money. So this is what happened, that she had the baby. And then the men don't want anything to do with them afterwards because they don't have money either, so they don't want to raise a kid. The next one is Claudine, and she has a little boy. You will notice that you can't tell their genders because they just put on whatever they can find. So boys may wear pink and vice versa. So I really wasn't ever sure what the genders were, but they were absolutely adorable. This is our first Ange, and then our second Ange. We had 2 of them. Ange means angel in their language. So we had 2 of them. This one, and then this is Dan Seal. Dan Seal's baby got sick while we were there, and we were only going to see them Monday through Saturday. And she was devastated that she had to take her baby to the doctor because she missed being with us on that one day. So what we would do with these 6 girls is we would feed them a meal every day, and then we would work with them. It ended up being usually 3 to 4 hours because they just wanted to be loved on, and they loved when we were there. These are a few pictures, just the reality of their lives. If you notice in this picture, all that is a tarp on a cement floor. That's where she lived and slept, and they had 1 room. So, not complaining, she was very thankful she had a tarp. Never once did they complain. It just surprises me. This is how they would hang their clothes up if they had clothes, if they had more than one outfit. A lot of times they would trade back and forth so they could wear something different. And then this one makes me really sad. If you see that little yellow thing, I know it's really hard to see. That is a water can because they're not running water. So they would have to go out to the wells, usually a 45-minute walk, and bring water back. And they would have to do it every day because they didn't have money to buy water from boys that would go get it and bring it back and sell it. She has that in her house and was very proud to display it as a chair because it was crushed, so they couldn't use it for water, so that was her chair in her house. And then, could you go back one? And then this is just how one of the girls had it set up. Again, it was just a tarp, and they felt really blessed, too, if they had a blanket. And usually they would find it in the trash. And so that's how they would set up. Then on Saturday, when we ended, we invited all 50 of them. This was what was a surprise to me, that we were going to do this, is bring all 50 of them together and feed them at least one meal, because we didn't want the other 50 to feel like 44, to feel like we had forgotten them. But the Lord provided every penny we needed. And so we got to feed them for a full meal. You saw them dancing in the video. That was all part of the meal and the party, so that we could touch the other 44 as well and let them know that we loved them. I threw this in because I hear a lot about, people will ask, why are we so lavished on in America? And then there's still third world countries like that. And what the Lord has been teaching me is that he is a Lord of many, many names. He is a Lord of many, many personality traits and characteristics. And as we walk through life, we get to learn the different sides of Jesus. And what I've learned is, I went to Africa and learned how to be grateful for every little thing you have, because every bite of food I take now, I'm very grateful that I can go to the pantry and even have a snack. But they knew God as their El Roy, the God who sees me. That's who they learned from me. And I learned Jehovah Jireh, the God who provides. And so I love how he takes the gifts he gives them, teaches us, and the gifts he gives us can be shared with them. And so we are lavished on. And so can we share that lavish with them? And that is a lot of why I'm here. Not here particularly in this church, but here in this position, to say, how can I share what the Lord has taught me with other people, and then they can share with me? Because I learned just as much from the girls as they learned from me, I think. Maybe a little more, because of their innocence and their purity and how much they just wanted Jesus to see them. So the impact so far of the ministry, just to sum it up, is it's so far in the last year and a half has been able to almost 2 years, feed 32 families, September through May, and that was school supplies and fees as well. We provided meals for 6 girls and children for the whole week. We provided a month's worth of food and other supplies to the 6 girls before we left. We led 6 girls through the inner healing, through Jesus. And then we also equipped Brian and Dina with the tools for healing care so that they could keep taking it to the other 44. Because just as much as they need physical nourishment, they need spiritual nourishment as well. And then we fed the 50 girls and their babies a small lunch on Saturday. So the next steps, what I'm working on now is we were able to get the 6 girls into one house, which is right next to Impact Life Center, so they're a little safer. And I want to be able to support at least those 6 girls all the way through February, and help give them just a helping hand. I don't want them to be reliant on me their whole life. That's not healthy either. But just to give them a helping hand to get healthy, figure out how they can start generating some income, because it can be done if they're working together. And so my hope is to keep them fed all the way through February. Now, I do have some sponsorship through Westchester. I think that if I would get 2,500 more, I would be funded through February for those 6 girls. If I'm able to raise more than that, then we'll feed more of the girls within the ministry. And so can you go back one? So you've been doing a great job, Patrick. Thank you. So I have this list. This list lays out what it would buy if you decided to sponsor a girl. So if you're interested, I can leave some with Pastor Paul, or I can hand them to you after church. I will stick around for questions, so if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer those. So this just is a detailed list of how it would be used. And you can go on. And then, so per mother, for mother and baby, it's about $104 per month for both of them. And then it would be $64 would cover rent, diapers, utilities, and hygiene products. So that makes it a total of about $168 per month if you wanted to do a sponsorship. And then it would also be helpful if you want to do a donation of $70 for clothes for the year. So that's just kind of what that's laying out. That is all on that sheet of paper, too, if you're interested. I have some with me. Just to give you an idea, this is about a month's worth of food for mother and baby. They get, it's rice and beans and milk. Milk is a huge thing. They're so undernourished. They love it when they can get milk. So we threw milk in for them. And then there's sugar and oil, and we gave them toothpaste and toothbrushes. So 2 ways you can help if you feel led. Absolutely no pressure. I'm just inviting you into what the Lord is doing around the world. If you feel a tug on your heart, you can sponsor month to month if you want. I've had some people that wanted to sponsor each month and just gave me the whole amount so they didn't have to remember. If you don't want to sponsor, but you want to be involved and you want to just give one-time donation, we can do it that way too. If you're like, I really love this ministry, but prayer is all I can do right now, I say it's all you can do, but it is what drives the ministry. So anything you feel led to do, I would love to have your partnership. And then I'm going to leave you with this verse to just say thank you. Thank you for inviting me in. Thank you for hearing the story. Thank you for loving the girls. Whoever is kind to the poor lends to the Lord, and he will reward them for what they have done. And so it's exciting to see how the Lord then rewards the people that he's called. So I'm going to say thank you one more time. You are a beautiful congregation. I've really enjoyed it. I was so nervous, but you made it so easy, and I feel very calm and peaceful, so thank you. This video is from Anj. She sent this to me after we got home, and you'll hear the interpretation, so I'm just going to end and let you enjoy getting to know her a little bit. Thank you so much.
How are you, Nicci? I miss you so much. It's your friend Ange. I really, really love you. And my heart is always happy with you. The gift you left behind for us, we got, and we are so thankful. May God bless you. And we shall be praying for you always so that God encourages you. God continues to expand your loving heart. We love you so much. And we thank God that you got home well. By the way, we are very happy, but we are kind of lonely because you left us. Because every time we were with you, we felt like we are closely to heaven. We always felt like we were very covered, no problem will ever come to us. We really cherish the times we had with you. We miss you and we love you. Please come back sooner before before loneliness kills us. Thank you so much. May God bless you. We love you.